What's up, everybody? This is Cody, aka DFS Prodigy, here coming live again with Hotman DFS. So we're digging into the Zurich Classic, which is definitely a different tournament, obviously, as you can tell with the pricing and stuff like that. It's a team-by-team tournament. So talk to me about a little bit about this course, my man.
Yeah, so you're right. It's a little bit of a bit different tournament than what we're used to, with just a stroke event. Here we're going to have each player partnered up with another player. Some of them are random. Some of them are players that they've been playing with in the previous tournaments in the past. The last three tournaments here have been played as a team event normally. In the past, it was just a solo event. But again, the last three have been team events. The first round and the third round are going to be considered as four ball. So the lowest score on each hole, we considered the score for the team. And then round 2 and 4 are going to be kind of a foursome. So you're going to switch shots on every other shot, and it'll just kind of change. The tee shot will change on each hole as well. So that's going to be kind of interesting just to see, what skills kind of match up with each player, because some good combinations can really lead to some low scores, and some bad combinations can really see some high 70s maybe on those round 2 and 4. So I think it's going to be an interesting tournament. What are your thoughts on this kind of new style, I guess?
So basically, like you were saying, the round 1 and 3 are going to be four balls. So it's basically whoever makes the best score. And then 2 and 4 are going to be alternate shots. So for instance, if Palmer drives it or Palmer hits off the tee, then you're going to have to go to John Rahm next. So on and so forth. It's just a flip and flop. This is a brand new tournament, though, for DraftKings, because it was interesting to see that how DraftKings did lay this out, because it took them a little bit of time. So I'm happy about this event that we can play it. It's going to be a look of the draw, basically, because this is a team event. And also the big thing is going to be basically you want guys who complement each other. Basically, you don't want two ball striking heavy guys and then both guys can't putt to save the life. So that's going to be key, is that you need somebody who can both putt and then somebody who can drive the ball well to complement each other. Basically like a quarterback and receiver, what we see, or a pitcher and catcher in baseball. I mean, that's basically the huge deal, is you see guys like a catcher, basically, if you have a good catcher and then the pitcher, obviously, they have good chemistry, we're going to see basically a highlight reel. So we need guys who basically complement each other. So that's going to be key. So starting up top, though, we're going to go tier by tier like usual, kind of breaking down the 11,000 to 10,000, then 9 to 9,000, and then so on and so forth. So starting up top, we have Xander and Cantlay. Talk to me about this top team.
Yeah, so they're coming in as the top team. I think that's probably about right. They're combined probably the two highest ranked golfers in the world rankings. They're also coming in at the top of the strokes gained leaderboard, as well as the birdie or better leaderboard. So, the stats are there. Their ranking is there. For some reason, I don't think I'm going to get to them this week. There's a couple better options in this range, and they just haven't really been there recently. Xander played well at the Masters, but, Cantlay's missed a couple of cuts recently, and like I said, I think there's better options in this range. Who is your team that you're really looking to in this 11K range?
So for me, I'm fading Xander and Cantlay just because of what's behind the scenes of what's happening with Cantlay is definitely what's scary, because apparently he's having girlfriend issues, which is mentally going to pretty much drive him to the wall if we saw that. So he's just mentally not there. We've seen him with the caddy, basically just back and forth yelling with him, hitting his foot on the course. It's just not there for Cantlay right now. Everything mentally is just kind of breaking him down. So that's a huge thing in golf. His mental game is key. Like we saw that with Max Homa not too long ago and guys like that. So for me, I'm just kind of fading this Xander and Cantlay sort of top team, super team, if you want to call it, because we also typically see at this course back in 2019, when this was last played, is that the top teams typically don't do well. That unless you're Ryan Palmer, the top teams aren't going to get you there. So basically what we're going to see is the guys like John Rahm and Palmer is going to be very chalky just because of this is Ryan Palmer's course. He's basically king here. This is the one tournament that he wins day in and day out. So we'll see this team look good, and especially when they looked good in 2019 when Ryan Palmer wasn't even the same Ryan Palmer. So just imagine now how better he is now compared to 2 years ago. This is going to be the super team, in my opinion, John Rahm and Ryan Palmer. So that's the team I'm going to be easily looking at in this range. And then dropping down to Morikawa and Wolf, this team is tough to get to just because of Matthew Wolf. His game has not been the same ever since the injury and stuff like that. So for me, I'm just kind of fading that team also. And then last but not least, in 11K range, the team I don't mind getting to is Cam Smith and Leishman. Both Aussies, both have looked good recently. Leishman, the ball striking's there, and then Cam Smith has just been out of this world lately. So I don't mind pivoting to that team. What about you, man?
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with you here in this 11K range. I'm fading Wolf and Morikawa. I love Morikawa, but if he was partnered with almost anybody else in this field, I'd probably take them. Wolf's just been on such a down tear right now. I'm really afraid on those round 2 and 4. Say if Wolf hits a really bad drive and Morikawa is going to have to save him multiple times throughout the round. That just kind of scares me. So I'm fading them. I really like Cam Smith and Leishman. Cam Smith has been playing phenomenal recently. They're both 5th in strokes gained as a team together. So with Cam Smith's recent success and Leishman starting to come around a little bit, he's still a top ranked player in the world. I think they're going to be a really solid team here, and I think they might go a little bit overlooked in this range just due to some other popular options. So I think they're a solid GPP play. How about the 10K range? What are you thinking down there?
So dropping down to the 10K range, I know that Bubba Watson and Scotty Scheffler can get hot here and there, but it's just I don't see the upside of these two guys. That's the only issue for me is I don't like the upside of them when I can easily pivot up to for $200 more. I can go to Leishman and Smith, who I know can easily better each other here. And then dropping down to Tony Finau and Champ. Again, both of these guys are just ball strikers. If the putting is going to get there, good luck, because Finau and Champ cannot putt to save their life. So, in my opinion, if it's going to be a driver's course for both of those guys, and I'm just not getting to it. But then dropping down to Billy Horschel and Sam Burns, I like this pairing a ton. Both guys complement each other well. I think Sam Burns has been good recently, and Billy Ho, I mean, we've seen him literally not too long ago in the bracket tournament. He was phenomenal. So, literally, for me, I don't mind this team at all. At 10-5, I can easily get to them. Willett and Hatton, again, scares me just because of how Hatton has been playing. And then Danny Willett, you know how that goes with Danny Willett, plain and simple. So, and then last but not least, Chris Kirk and Brendan Todd. This is the team I want to talk about for a minute. Both complement each other very well. Both went to college together and roomed together for 4 years straight. So if you're telling me both these guys don't know each other, then you're crazy, because this team is easily a top team, in my opinion, just based off the chemistry that they both have. So, and like I said, chemistry is definitely a huge thing here, because if both guys have the chemistry together, both guys complement each other well, that's what's going to make this team look good. So I think Brendan Todd and Chris Kirk are definitely two GPP options I don't mind getting to in the 10K range. Talk to me about this whole 10K range, my man.
Yeah, I agree with you there on Kirk and Todd. I think they're going to be a solid play. One for the chemistry reasons, like you said, they've both kind of had up and down careers since college. I know they rely on each other a lot when they kind of go through those low times. So I think they're going to be looking forward to playing with each other during this event, and I think they're a pretty safe play in this range. Kirk has been playing really well recently. He actually had back-to-back top 10 finishes, and Brendan Todd has made 10 out of the 11 last cuts. So, they're playing well, and I think they're, like I said, a pretty safe play in this range. I hate to disagree with you a little bit, but I kind of like Bubba and Scotty Scheffler a little bit. I'm not a big Bubba fan, to be honest, but he actually plays pretty well here. And when he has played here, he's had some pretty bad teammates to go along with him. He won here, I believe, a solo event when it was a solo tournament. I think it was a while ago, I guess. But I do like Scheffler a lot. He can really get hot. I know he can, have some bad shots at times and score bogeys, I guess. But he also has the ability to shoot really low. He has that 59 under his belt, and he ranks in the top 20 in birdies or better. So I don't know. It's tough. For me, it's going to be a GPP play. Like you said, this week's going to have a lot of luck. They could, miss the cut and shoot really well, or I think they could honestly have potential for top 5. So that's another, team in this 10K range that I kind of like. But, one thing to say too, I think that's going to be important for this weekend is roster construction, because the prices are so, expensive this week, especially up at the top. We were just talking a little earlier. If you choose one of these guys, even in the 10K range or the 11K range, you're going to have to be digging in the 7Ks and the 6K range to fill out the rest of your roster, which is totally fine. But, that, in my opinion, you've got to pick your favorite play from this range. You can't be choosing someone that you're kind of iffy about. So For me, John Rahm's probably going to be the safest play up in this, and Ryan Palmer, of course, in this high tier range. So moving on to the 9K range, what do you think down here, buddy?
Which going back to that 10K, I don't mind Bubba and Scheffler at all. Like you're saying, if they can get hot and they can start torching this course, they'll get you there easily.
Yeah.
It's just we need to see the upside out of both of them, which I don't mind that pairing at all. But yeah, jumping into the 9K range, Max Homa, I mean, he's a guy that I literally talk about every single week, time and time again. I cannot get away from him. And it's for good reason. I mean, Max Homa and Taylor Gooch, both of those guys, good friends. Literally, again, they talk to each other time and time again. They both rely on each other a ton. We've seen this group, basically, this pairing, time and time again, they hang out outside of golf all the time. So this two guys are definitely in play to me at 9-9. I don't mind this pairing at all. Hovland and Ventura, it's kind of hard to get you just because of Ventura. And Hovland, he's just been strange this season, to say the least. He's not been the same player that he has been, which I know he has high upside. It's just the thing is, I don't know how he will do with Ventura. And then HP3 and Grace, both those guys similar. I think they're kind of similar to Bubba Watson group. Both these guys can get hot. HP3 has been having a phenomenal season for him. He's been killer, and so has Brandon Grace has been good for him. So I don't mind this pairing at all either. And then Justin Rhodes and Henrik Stenson, both these guys are overrated in my opinion right now. I just don't want to get to any of them. What do you think of this high 9K range, man?
Yeah, I agree with you again, man. I really like Homa and Gooch. They're my favorite play overall in the entire slate. I think they have a lot of upside. They've both been playing really well. Max Homa had that win at the Genesis not too long ago, and it's crazy that he actually teed off with Gooch at that event on the final day. They were in the final pairing, or I don't know if it was final pairing, but they were paired together. So he actually had a quote, I believe, too, that he kind of said he was kind of relaxed when he was playing with Gooch. So I think they're going to be a nice pairing. Together, they rank second overall in birdies or better and third in strokes gained. So at 9.9K, I think they're a great option, again, with upside to win. I agree with you again on Hovland and Ventura. Hovland's one of my favorite overall golfers. I just think he's fun to watch. He's always got a smile on his face, whether he's shooting a hole in one, he's hitting a triple bogey. So he's a fun watch. But I started off kind of liking them. I think they're a solid GPP play just because I think Hovland can really catch fire, but I think there's better options, especially Homa and Gooch. I agree with you. I'm definitely fading Stenson and Rose. Rose had that nice round at the Masters, but otherwise they have not really been there recently. I think they're way overpriced. And then another me is going to be Sungjae Im and Bunny On. I can't really put Benny on in my lineups without thinking about the 17th hole at the Players when he in the first round when I think he shot 2 water balls at least, if not 3.
Dang. Yeah.
Can't really feel good about putting him in my roster, so that's going to be a fade for me as well. How do you feel about the rest of the 9K range there?
So Braden Steele and Keegan Bradley, I think they complement each other very well too. The ball striking has been there for Brandon Steele lately, so I like the driving that he can potentially have.
Yep.
Peters and Lewis, not really on my radar a ton. And then Sungjae M, Benny On, you kind of hit it with the nail. I'm not really, maybe, but then again, good luck because they can easily hit you 2 water balls in a row. And like we talked about with Joel Damon and Lonto Griffin, I think this pairing is a great pairing. I like this. I like to see how they pair up with each other, like friendship wise and kind of chemistry wise. But Lonto Griffin is now a huge step up in as a late addition for this course, so I don't mind getting to him at all. So looking at that, I don't mind this pairing at all with Joel Damon and Lonto Griffin. But let's jump up to the 8K range. What do you think in this 8K?
Yeah, one more thing. I think the 9K range is my favorite range. I'm going to be loading up on at least 2 guys in all of my lineups, just so I can kind of fit other guys in without going too deep into the 6K range. But in the 8K range here, honestly, not my favorite range. I'm going to be looking down at the bottom actually at Gim and Stu. I know they're going to be really, really chalky, but like I said, I'm mostly fading this range. I think Kisner and Brown is an okay cash play. Kisner is a really good putter on Bermuda greens, and they've played the team event all 3 years that they've had, this team style, I guess. and they've finished top 15 each time with 2 top 5s as well. So, just looking at course history, I think Kisner and Brown is a safe play. I'm definitely not choosing them to, even top 10 necessarily. So I don't know. It's up to you guys on that one. But yeah, Gim and Sue is going to be my favorite play. I know they're going to be chalky, but I'm just going to kind of eat the chalk and look to get a little bit different other places there. Any other teams in this range that you like?
Yeah, this 8K range is kind of ugly in my opinion. You're really gonna have to dig deep in this 8K range. I'd much rather go to the 7K range, to be honest with you, than the 8K. That's just, I think, my personal opinion. But looking at the 8K range, the glove and Reeve, if it wasn't for Reeve, I would have gotten to this team. I don't mind Kisner and Brown. I think both these guys are safe options. McDowell and Wallace, I think they complement each other pretty well also. But then again, I'd much rather just drop down to a guy like you said, Doug Gim and Sue at 8-1. This team is definitely going to be basically a high chalk team. But for the salary relief that they give you, that you're going to have to get to them, in my opinion.
Yeah,
go
my
ahead,
bad. They're 9th in birdies and better. That's a team. And they, individually, if you roster them, on an individual tournament, I think they could blow up and, miss the cut. But I think as a team, they have the potential to shoot really low scores. So I think they're a solid play.
Agreed.
I'll be roster. Otherwise, I think EVR and Wyndham Clark will be a decent team. They're the longest team in the field. I know you'd think it'd be Finau and Champ, but they actually rank a little bit higher than them. And then they're also 9th in strokes gained as a team as well. So I think they're a solid play. They're going to go a little bit overlooked, in my opinion.
And then I wish Hoffman had another pairing than Watney, because I would have gotten to this team. But if you just go ahead and look at the cuts for Watney, that tells you everything you need to know, basically. Yeah. 1 for 14. So, and another pairing that I don't mind that's a little contrarian, I think, is Kokrak and Pat Perez. I think they can catch fire here and can easily do well here. And then the one-man band of Tringali, if Tringali can get it done and kind of carry Castro on his back, this team can do well, because we've seen Tringali has had a phenomenal year also to begin with. I mean, this guy has basically transformed his whole entire playing career this year. So
there's a lot of guys in this range that have, one guy that's just a little bit better than the other ones. So I think that's why they rank a little lower than those 9K range guys. So I agree. How do you feel about the 7K range and even lower than that?
So I'm going straight to Neesmith and Seifert. I mean, the ball striking for Neesmith is there, and the driving that he can carry. I like this team a ton. And then I don't mind dropping down to the Sned and Mitchell. I think both guys are, they're inconsistent, but again, if you catch them on the high rise, they can easily get it done for you in Snedeker and Mitchell. So I don't mind that pairing. And then Uline and Wierenski, both guys I think complement each other pretty well also. Like I keep saying over and over and over again, these players have to complement each other and have to be good with each other in order to do well at this tournament. Like, you cannot have 2 ball strikers or 2 putters, because that's like going to ruin your lineups, basically. Yeah. So you have to have guys that basically do well together and complement each other in many ways, including the chemistry. So that's going to be key to this tournament. But it's going to be tough getting down to this 6K range. I think a lot of my guys are going to be in kind of the 7K range for salary relief.
Yep.
Do you like anybody in the 7K range before we drop down to the 6K range?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Seifert and Neesmith. I think they're going to be a great approach team. They just need to kind of hit some putts this weekend. Neesmith is a great ball striker. He's 7th in strokes gained approach. And Seifert's been playing pretty well recently. He's made 7 out of the last 8 cuts there. So they're 11th overall in total strokes gained. I think they're a really solid option at 7.5K. And I actually agree with you as well on Wierenski and Uline. Uline won on the Korn Ferry Tour last week, and he had a runner-up finish just a couple of weeks ago as well. So he's been playing pretty well. I think he's going to be a solid, or they're going to be a solid team. So I think, overall, I think both those teams, I agree with you in the 7K range there.
And then just going with a couple of flyers in the 6K range, I don't mind going to a guy like Shank and Tyler Duncan. I think this team is sneaky good. We've seen Shank time and time again get you almost to the top 10 and kind of fall last minute. But we've seen his name on the leaderboard here and there, basically in a couple rounds. So, and then Tyler Duncan, I don't mind him with the ball striking. But a lot of these guys down here, it's going to be kind of scary to get to them. I don't like much of the else down here. Maybe Duffner.
Yeah.
Maybe. CT Pan maybe, but then again, it's just hard to get to some of these guys. So, do you like anybody in the 6K range?
It's tough. Like I was telling you before, I think one of these guys or one of these teams in the 6K range will finish top 5 or top 10, but trying to throw a dart and figuring out which one of them is going to be, it's tough. So for my, personal lineups, that's why I'm going to try and avoid some of those higher expensive plays and, stick in that 9K range. So I'm not forced making, decisions down here in the 6K range. If I had to, though, I kind of like Garnett and Stallings just for the reason of I saw them in a lot of stats that I was looking at. So I don't really have much of an opinion otherwise, which I think it can be said about a lot of these 6K range guys. I think Bacciata and Piercy's a solid pairing as well. Piercy is a former winner here just in the solo tournament, and they're also 35th in strokes gained overall, which is pretty good ranking, I think, for a 6K range team. But yeah, otherwise, I'm mostly going to be avoiding this range unless I truly have to. Probably, in those lineups that I have Rahm in, I'll try and squeeze, a couple other decent teams in there. So I'll have to force myself to choose one of these guys, but it's going to be mostly a fade for me.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be tough getting to some of these guys down here. But do you have any last closing thoughts, man, before we head out of here?
No, it's going to be a fun tournament, I think. We were both saying we're going to play relatively light just due being, new, so many different rules. I think luck's going to really play a lot into this just because, you're going to, not that teams are going to, try and divide their birdies up a little bit, but if a team gets, 2 birdies on hole 1, but they both bogey the next hole, you don't get to carry your birdie over by chance, so luck's going to play a big factor into this. So, for that reason alone, I'm going to play a little bit lighter and probably focus a lot of my time on the Valspar tournament next week. How about you?
Yeah, agreed, man. I think this is going to be a fun tournament to watch from a fan's perspective just because it's a team event. You're going to see guys talk to each other a lot. You're going to see a lot of jokes on the tour. You're going to see a ton of things that we normally just don't get to see because it is a friendship kind of tournament, kind of a pairing. So I'll be excited to kind of see how these guys complement each other. We'll see what happens with Cantlay. We'll see if he burns us once again, which I probably think he will, obviously, for a 3rd week in a row. So, but then again, it'll be fun to watch this tournament. It'll be fun to see these players kind of reenact with each other. So I can't wait to watch it, though. But basically, that kind of wraps it up for us. Thank y'all for tuning in, and have a great and safe rest of your day, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Good luck this weekend.